Hey friends, thanks for clicking on this video, and as you can tell, I'm melting some lead. I've read over all the comments regarding having to divorce the tin out of this lead. Thank you all so very much for your input and your thoughts in this regard. I do greatly appreciate it. What I'm doing right now is I'm melting down that large chunk of 60-40 lead tin ratio, and I'm casting it into a total chunk of 3 pounds or thereabouts. As you can see, I still have more to go here. But one thing that I did notice, and let me kind of like put this into context. When I cast my round ball, this is how I do it. Okay? And with this amount of heat cranked up all the way, I can get this lead to have a blue, I should say a dark blue tinge on top. I'm wondering if that's not the tin separating. I could be wrong, I don't know. So what I'm going to do once I get done pouring that large chunk of 60-40 tin into the 3-pound container here, I have some tin that I've got marked 4B, which is range lead, which has got tin in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that tin and I'm going to crank the heat up on it, and I'm going to watch what happens, just simply because in doing what I'm doing right now with that 60-40 tin, pouring it, I don't know how well the camera can pick it out, and I've scraped some of it off, but if you could look at the side wall of my melting pot, there is what I would perceive and what most people would perceive is lead being left behind. But at the high temperature that I'm using to melt this, at least, I'm wondering if this isn't the tin that is on the top, and as I poured it into that mold, the tin is being left behind on the sidewalls of my pot. So I'm going to experiment. So I've already weighed this. This chunk right here weighs 5.6 pounds. So once I get this task accomplished, I'll turn around and put that block of lead right there that's marked 4B, range lead, and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to watch and see what it does when I can get that temperature up to that blue color of scummy dross that's on the top. Now, also bear in mind, just for context sake, when I cast my lead, and I know some people will say I'm probably casting it too high, I get that. But when I cast for my round balls with pure lead, my heat range is right at a yellowish, goldish hue of what most people would say is, you know, the scummy dross, the impurities that come to the top. And that's why when I do cast, I leave the charcoal in the pot and I just keep stirring it up from time to time. And I do the same thing too when I cast with the borax as the flux. So let me get this lead poured, and I'm going to get that 4B range lead in the pot, and I'm going to jump in from time to time and catch everybody up. But once again, just thank you so much for the comments that I've already read. I greatly appreciate it. And even more than that, friends, I greatly appreciate you sharing your knowledge with everybody else. So let me get this accomplished and I'll get right back at you. Okay, so just jumping back in here real quick to kind of give you guys some idea of how hot this lead really is. I poured this about 4 minutes ago. You can see, I hope, it's still liquid even after 4 minutes of having been poured. So you can see that I am using a tremendous amount of heat. And I have the capability of getting that heat from this turkey fryer. Okay, it's not 100% solidified, but it's been 9 minutes. You would have thought. Man, I guess I got that lead a hell of a lot hotter than I thought I did. It's going to be interesting to see, once I get all of this poured, what that 4B is going to do at that heat range. It'll be interesting to find out. So while I'm waiting for the lead to cool, decided to come into my shop here and turn some more powder measures. If you guys are looking for powder measures for your long guns or even your cap and ball revolvers, I have a selection of them available on our Etsy store, Lane Beaver Trading Company. Okay, just to re-emphasize, this is the first time that I've ever poured lead into my mold. This is the second pour. It's been about 6 minutes already and it's still not solidified. But this is what's being left behind on the side of my melting pot. I'm really beginning to wonder if that's the tin, because I have not fluxed it. All I did was put a high amount of heat on this, and that's what's left behind. But what I'll do after these ingots are cool enough, I'm going to take my Stettler pencil set and I'm going to, scratch them again and see once I've got this poured if I've lost a great amount of tin. I don't think so, but only time will tell. So while I was waiting for that lead to cool off, I was able to get this powder measurer turned, sanded down, and burnished. I'm hoping to get at least 100 grains out of it. If not, 90 will suffice. But that's what that ended up being. On to the next one. Okay, you're just going to have to trust me on this one because the camera's in my hand. But if you look at that top scratch, I was able to scratch that with my H pencil, which is this pencil right there. Okay, now according to the hardness scale, the Benelli hardness scale, H is on the hardness of 20 to 22. And you can see I have it written right here, it's too hard for my use. Now the one above that is my F pencil, which on the Benelli hardness scale should be 16 to 18. If you look at that bottom scratch, barely scratched, that's with my F pencil. So we're looking at this 3 pounds of lead and the subsequent 3 pounds of lead that's cooling right now. This is going to be more on the scale of 20 to 22 in the Benelli hardness scale. I do have a 2H pencil. Let me pause for a moment and see if that'll scratch it. So if you look at the right side of this ingot, the 2H did scratch it. So there again, 2H on the hardness scale is between 26 to 28. So again, this is right at the range at 60-40 lead to tin ratio. So just to re-emphasize, that last pour was about 1.5 pounds, and this is what's left in my bowl here, my cast iron pot. I gotta re-emphasize, guys, I've done a lot of lead casting and I've done a lot of mold, putting my lead in the molds, and I've never had any of this left behind. Interesting. Okay, the range lead is molten. I'm going to let it cook like this for a couple hours, maybe an hour at least. Skim off the scummy dross. Then I'll let it cool down, and I'll probably just do nothing more than just scratch it with the Stettler pencils, because I already know that this is range lead 4B. I'll see if I can scratch it with a, you know, smaller or weaker lead pencil at that time. Stay tuned. Well, you can see something is definitely burning off the top of this lead, and you can see how dark the top of it is. I am really beginning to suspect, let me zoom in, that might be the tin burning off with the excessive heat. But we won't know for a fact till we get done and I scratch it with my Stettler pencils, and then of course weigh it. Alrighty, I've already skimmed it off once. This is the second time I'm going to be skimming it off, and obviously I think we can all agree that something is burning off of this lead, and I would like to think at the time being that this is the tin. Alright, we're going to do a little bit of experimenting here. It's suggested, and at this point I don't know myself, but tin is supposed to melt about 750 plus degrees. Well, if you go back in this channel, you'll see that I do a little bit of tin smithing and some copper smithing. So what I have here is a piece of tin that I use in tin smithing. Now, I will admit, I do not know if this is the same tin that they use for putting in lead to make lead a little harder. As you can see, I got my torch going. I'm going to crank it up, and I'm going to get this to cherry red, and you will see it does not melt away. And I do have, hold on here a second, I do have my Harbor Freight temperature gun here to see, and I've already checked it, and at cherry red it's about 894 degrees. I'm not going to be able to do that. Well, let me just see if I can't fiddle fart around and do this with one hand. Hold on. I think we can appreciate it's not melting away. So whether this is the same type of tin that's used in lead to harden lead, I do not know. But to have that cherry red like that, you're pushing right at 1,000 degrees, if not about 1,200. Now, I'm not going to be able to, let me put the camera down and see if I can't shoot that with my heat gun and see if the heat range will stay on the screen long enough for me to record it. There it is, 895.6 Fahrenheit. So if tin is supposed to melt at about 750 degrees, then certainly we would have expected that piece of tin that I use for tinsmithing to have melted away. Once again, I don't know if this is the same type of tin they use for putting in lead, but as you can see, there's still something burning off. So I just shot the temperature of this lead, and I'm showing 763.7 degrees. I'm going to let it shut off, and then I'm going to shoot it again and see what we get here. Alright, it's on. There's the red dot. I'm at 7, well, I think I saw 799, and now I'm at 781. See, it is fluctuating, but I think that that's the air that's moving in here. So let me, and even at that, 771, I'm above the 750 of what this tin is supposed to be melting at. Okay, it's off, turn it on, take a shot, 770. So, I'm wondering Alright guys, it's been a full hour and a half at this temperature. And you can see something is still burning the top of this lead. I'm going to skim it off, shut the fire off, let it cool down, and then we'll see what change, if any, that may occur. As you can tell, I'm indoors, the door's closed. It is really whipping out there right now. So, you might be interested in how we did. Well, before I give you my final results, I just want to say again, thank you for all your comments. I've certainly enjoyed reading them, and I'm glad that we can have this conversation and we can all learn from one another. Just to think about a comment or two that somebody had stated, adding pure lead to a harder lead should reduce the lead tin content, and I won't disagree with that whatsoever. But let me just explain to you my process in all of this. I've got 5 boxes of Hornady 50 caliber 4.90 round ball. That's 500 rounds of pure lead. And I have 200 rounds of .450 54 caliber 430 54 caliber. When I shoot my long guns here at home, I shoot this soft lead, pure lead, into my berm, because I can recover that and I know I'm dealing with pure lead. When I go to a mountain man rendezvous and I know that I'm going to be shooting, I shoot what is 5B, which is the 40-to-1 tin, which on the Benelli hardness scale, 7 to 8. And the reason I do that is because I'm not going to recover that lead. Think about it. And that harder lead does not engage with the rifling. And over the years that I've been doing this, I have not experienced any difficulty in loading the 5B lead. Okay? Now, I got it done. I've already scratched a few scratches, but I'm going to redo it. But the first thing is went into the house and I weighed it, and lo and behold, it actually weighs 5.2 pounds. So it did lose some weight. Now granted, I'm not convinced that all that weight was the tin. I'm just not convinced any more than I put up my complete trust in my infrared heat gun. At least it gets you into the ballpark. Okay, so for me, you guys can take away what you wish from this video. For me, the test really comes down to the lead pencil, and I'm not going to redo the 6B pencil, which is the pure 10 or the 4 to 5 hardness range, because I've already done that. But I'm going to start with the 2B, which is the range lead. And if everybody can see it, God, I hope so. The light, like I said, the light in here is not that good. Let me get readjusted and give you better lighting. So here's the 2B pencil, which would identify the range lead on the scale of 11 to 12. And that does scratch it. So I know that it's at least range lead, but what I really want to see is if the 5B pencil will scratch it. And the 5B would be the 40-to-1 lead tin ratio on the Benelli hardness scale is 7/8. If this 5B pencil can scratch it, then I know that this, and you can hear a little bit of tin in it, so I already know there's some tin in it. But at least I know that I can cast this and shoot it out of my long guns, my muzzle loaders, and just leave that lead at the range. So let's see if the 5B will scratch it. And it does. It's right here. I'm looking at the camera, it doesn't look all the greatest, but let me just do it again in another spot. Right here. So you can see the 5B pencil scratches the lead. So now I know that I can use this lead to make round ball, either 50 or 54 caliber, shoot it downrange, and I don't have to worry about recovering it. So now that we've established that this is a 5B lead, and we've also established that burning it at the higher temperature as I did, and just to reiterate, I don't trust the infrared heat gun really no more than I can throw it, but it does get you into the ballpark. But the lead did lose some weight, and I was able to scratch it with the 5B pencil, which gets me right into the 7/8 hardness range, which is basically a 40-to-1 tin lead ratio. So thank you, friends, so much for watching, for indulging me, and I guess we'll catch you the next video. I won't be doing any shooting today, that's for dang sure. But everybody have a great week, and don't forget to please share this with the bestest of buds. Hit that thumbs up button, and if you have not already considered subscribing, I certainly do appreciate it. And again, I appreciate everybody's comments. Bye.